Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Wednesday, a little bit of a chilled one today. We're just going to do an Ask Me Anything episode. Of course we're joined by Mike, as you can see to the right of me there. Nearly got me left and right mixed up there. Rookie mistake. Mike's joining us today. We're just going to answer everybody's questions. So if you're in the live comments, get your questions in. I've got a few just to pass the time whilst everyone gets in and sort of sorts the questions out and stuff. I can see a few live comments already. But get your questions in. They can be about Everton. They can be about anything randomly. The more random ones we get, the better. We've had a proper random one on Twitter, which I'm sure we'll answer a little bit later on in the stream. Remind me of that one, Mike, before I forget it. But yeah, get your questions in the live comments and we'll go through that. So just to start off with, how have you been? How's life treating you? Obviously, we're still in this lockdown, weird situation sort of stuff. How's life at the moment?
Yeah, it's all right. It's boring, ain't it? Like, it's boring. I mean, for my work, obviously, you know, my job, I do a lot of travelling, and like at the minute, I'm not doing any travelling. I'm stuck in the house, so it's a bit long, and it's great having the little one here and the missus as well, though, because you do get to spend a little bit more time. But yeah, it's a killer, mate. How are you finding it?
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. It's tough. I've been out little bits and bobs. I've had to leave for work just to go to the post office and stuff to post a letter, or just to visit one of the houses to drop some gloves off or something. So I've been out in patches, but other than that, I've been stuck in. I haven't really been out and done much exercise. I've tried to do like a few sit-ups and a few press-ups and stuff in art, but I've tried to limit as much as I go out as possible, because as much as obviously the main thing is I don't want to catch the disease or, you know, potentially even worse, pass it on if I was a carrier, but I also don't want the stress of then coming home and having a normal headache that you'd usually have because you've spent too much time in front of your screen or whatever, and then having all the anxiety of what Uber mixed with while I've been out, sort of stuff. So I've tried to keep myself behind the door, really, but it's tough, innit? I don't know what the weather's like up there, but it's like 20 degrees, 21 degrees here for the last 3 days, so it's really, really tough. Like, if it was pissing down, I'd be like, strand, cod on, pretty easy this.
Yeah.
Because the weather's nice, you just want to get out there, you want to play footy, you want to, you know, even just walk around, go for a little walk. I don't even like going for walks, but as soon as the weather's nice, as soon as the sun comes out, I'm like, yeah, let's go for a walk. But so it's tough, innit? It is tough. So yeah, I've got a list of a few questions just to pass the time while people get theirs in. We'll throw a couple out there. I'll answer it. You can answer it as well. The people in the live comments can answer it. If you're watching the YouTube video, answer it as well. And then we'll get into the questions in the comments. I just want to say as well, before we go into anything, before I forget it, when we're finished streaming and when the stream's over, if you wondered why on Monday the stream didn't actually go live on the channel until late Monday night or early Tuesday morning, it's because YouTube have got this little bit of a problem at the moment with processing live streams. Usually the live stream would be processed within sort of 15 minutes. No matter how long it was, and it'd be up and you'd be able to go and watch the replay. But I was actually speaking to someone from Google about it the other day, because it was like 2 hours later and the stream still was processing, so I thought I was going to have to delete the footage and you know what I mean. It was we were talking about transfers and stuff. So if you're wondering later on, if you want to catch up with the stream and you're wondering why it's not on the channel, it's just because it's still processing, and it's just, YouTube say it can take between 2 to 4 days, which I think is absolutely mad. Luckily it ended up being processed throughout Monday night, so it wasn't too bad. But I just wanted to let you know, in case you come to the channel later and you're thinking, where's it gone, why can't I see Mike's wonderful face for the second time? So I've got a couple of Everton related questions. I'll go into an Everton related question first, and then I'll ask a non-Everton related question, then we'll get in the comments. What's your best Everton memory? Your favourite Everton memory? Could be any memory whatsoever. What's your favourite one?
My favourite one is oh, what a question! I've actually answered this so many times, but I've actually give different ones, because obviously you do have loads of different memories. I think so. I've got two, but they're for the same reason. So one was September the 29th, 2001. Everton played West Ham at Goodison Park. It was a 5-0 win. If I remember correctly, I think Kevin Campbell scored on the 44th minute.
Okay. That is specific.
Yeah, well, that was my first game at Goodison.
Oh, okay.
Which was quite late, really, but it was because I used to play football a lot on the weekend. But for that particular game, it got called off, and I got to Goodison. I watched the game. I loved it, and it's the first game I went to with my dad and my granddad. Now my granddad's no longer with us, so I always remember him dropping us off, him parking the car, him meeting us in the ground. We scored 5 goals. He still just sat there like this, moody, because it weren't the 80s when Everton were the
we know
all of that. And then, as a result of that, the first game with Finlay.
Okay.
So the first game with Finlay was important because it was, my dad is now granddad to Finlay.
Yeah.
So I was quite emotional about that, remembering the past. So yeah, West Brom 2000 and I'm going to say 18.
Okay.
That was Finlay's first game at Goodison, and that means a lot as well.
Yeah.
Both of those games. That was a 0-0 draw. It was terrible.
Yeah, good answers. I remember my first game was it was on my birthday, 27th of October. I don't know what year it was. I think it might have been 2004. Something's telling me 2004.
Yeah.
It was against Preston in the FA Cup. And I sat in the top balcony, I believe, and I had to leave at half time because I was just in tears, crying my eyes out because of the noise and because of all the chanting. It just overwhelmed me so much that I couldn't take it. So I had to get off, I had to leave, and now it's mad because it's come round full circle. I'm now the fella that's sitting in the stand screaming his head off, and the kids are looking at him thinking, bloody hell, I don't really want to be near him, he's a bit of a maddo. But
not to this lad.
Yeah, that's it. I can't be trusted at a football game, mate. It just gets well too emotional. But mine's along the same lines, definitely. Alright then, a non-Everton related one to throw at you. This is one that's, I think, been asked quite a lot, just in general conversation between people, especially during this time when things are limited. What is your go-to fast food restaurant, and what's your meal from that restaurant? Because mine wouldn't be my answer if everything was open and I had free choice, but the fact that everything's sort of shut at the minute, I've got a specific answer. Go on, what's yours?
Mate, this is hard, man.
So
I mean, look,
not taking away like any takeaways like Chinese, and talking like McDonald's, KFC, Subway, Domino's, Pizza, the chain sort of fast food restaurants.
which one of them do I go to, basically?
Which one do you prefer?
Well, yeah, so if you all look at me, I want you to just have a look at me for like 5 seconds, right? So if you look at me, you can clearly see I'm not the sort of man that removes himself from any fast food restaurant. Do you know what I mean? I love it. So, but you're like half my size.
I don't know how. I don't stop eating, mate. I honestly don't stop eating. I really don't know how.
So if I was in the car driving somewhere and I was hungry, the first thing I'd go KFC.
Okay.
That would be the one. However, if you're talking like a restaurant that when it opens, I'm going to be in there the first moment, it's Nando's.
Okay.
Because I love chicken, man.
Fair enough. What you get from Nando's then?
Oh, I'll have like depending on how hungry I am, I'll either go for half chicken with 2 sides and a refillable drink,
yes,
or I'll go for the whole chicken, 1 side and a refillable drink.
It's fair enough, respectable. I always go for a burger, me in Nando's. What spice do you go for in Nando's? Because I'm probably going to embarrass myself, but go on.
Nah, mild.
Yeah. I'm either mild or medium at like the max if I'm feeling spicy.
My ring piece can't deal with it, man.
Yeah, it gets spicy, and it does get spicy. Go on, we'll dive into the live comments then. Just one more quickly while I'm looking at it, and I don't want to forget it. Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
And I'm telling you right now, do you know the reason? And this is gonna mess everyone's brain up now. You ready? Wait for it. Everyone's objection with pineapple on pizza is it's a fruit. Yeah. You can't stick a fruit on a pizza. What's a tomato, mate?
Yeah. Tomato.
What's a tomato?
Exactly, I agree. And if you've never had pineapple on a pizza and you look at it and think, wouldn't touch that, it's horrible. Just have an almond pineapple pizza tonight, and honestly, you'll never look back. It's one of the nicest pizzas you can have.
Look at yourself.
Yeah.
Look at yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Just on the fast food one, I didn't answer it. I thought I'd answered it. Mine would usually be like like a Burger King probably. If I had any choice, like you said, sit down restaurant, it will probably be Nando's or Pizza Hut. I'd usually go for like an Italian or something, but if we're talking chains, it'd be a Nando's or a Pizza Hut. But at the moment, since it's been closed, and I didn't think I'd actually, and it's made me think I've got a little bit of an addiction, and I didn't think I'd feel this way when everything closed down. We come into lockdown, I thought I'd be alright, but McDonald's, mate, I am absolutely craving a McDonald's meal. Every time I think about McDonald's chips, I can taste them in my mouth. I just want to go into McDonald's and order everything, and it is a little bit worrying because it is, for me, a slight sign of an addiction. Because when I heard McDonald's was shutting, I was like, oh yeah, it'll be alright, that'll be open in a few more months, so I won't miss that. So I didn't have a McDonald's for about 2 weeks before it shut, and now I'm just like, if it opened today, I'd literally be down there right now. I'd be live streaming on my way to McDonald's. That's how much I want a McDonald's. That's how much I'm craving that sort of fast food. So anyway, we'll get into the live comments. We'll answer some of these. Ethan Elliott says, thoughts on Alan and how many players do you want to see brought in and who? Go on then. Alan, obviously, Napoli midfielder.
Yeah. Alan, very, very good technical footballer. His quality on the ball, passing range, his ability to beat people standing on essentially standing still is phenomenal. My issue with Alan's his age.
Yeah.
Because he's probably only got 2 top-level years left in him, and I don't want him Sigurdsson. However, if we got him at a cut price, sub 40 million, 35 million, which it could well be now because of what's currently happening. If you said to me, you're going to sign Alan for 30 million, I'd snap your hand off. So, very good player. In terms of how many I want 4.
Yeah. I think 4's a realistic number in it, covering the key positions, obviously being right back, centre midfield, probably right wing, centre half. I think it's realistic. And with Alan, I think he's a very good player. I don't necessarily think he's a Marcel Brands-esque signing if we're basing off the previous signings because of his age and because of stuff like that and how much money he'd cost. But there's been a lot of talk, there's been a lot of rumours in the news, and I actually think it's true. I actually think it will happen. John mentioned it in your video, I think it was last night, that prices will dramatically change after this because the economy will dramatically change. And I think football clubs and companies in general will look and go, listen, realistically, do we want to be spending 200 million on a player like Paul Pogba, who is half decent 1 week, but the next week he can not turn up? And I think that'll be, I read an article this morning to say footballers should expect a lot less money and a lot less in transfer fees, a lot less in signing on fees and stuff like that. So I think if we could get Alan at a cut price, and we can move on some of the other midfielders that are not useful, then I would take him. But I agree with you. I think especially in terms of the players brought in, I'd want at least 4. Don't get me wrong, if we could bring in 6 quality leaders and fantastic players, I'd take it, but we have to be realistic, don't we? Corn says, how's the lockdown going in the UK? We're on day 20 now, with 15 days to go. Well, it's a little bit different for us, hasn't it? We haven't been given a date as to when it will end. We haven't. It's not an official lockdown because it's just advice at the moment, so you're still getting bad dickheads who are thinking, fuck it, I'll just go out of a weekend and I'll sit in the park and I'll just walk around doing anything I want to. So it's a little bit different for us. We're being advised and the people with a brain, I'd like to say, are staying at home and only going out when they absolutely have to, but it's not I don't think it's as strict as it is in other countries, certainly not in Italy and in Russia where Vladimir Putin put out a statement saying you either stay at home or you spend 5 years in prison. That's how serious it is in Russia and some other countries, where it's here, it's a little bit more relaxed, but I think that's causing people to take advantage of it. What do you think? Agreed. And one thing I would say is it's difficult for us because we don't know when the peak is going to happen. We understand that numbers of people with new cases plateauing, I understand, but we don't actually know the peak. We still, we did have 900 odd deaths a couple of days last week. We're down to 700 odd. There's no reason it can't re-spike. And it's equally for places that we were quite late doing this. So for places like London, for example, who have the tube system and whatever, when that's back in full flow, there's no reason we can't get the second coming of this a lot quicker than actually a lot of the other countries have had it. So I think we've got to be really careful with when we come out of lockdown personally. I personally think 1st of June, but that's just me. Well, that's it. And you look at Italy, and we seen yesterday or last night, Italy have only just started allowing little businesses here and there to open. 3 businesses, say, per, I don't know, square mile or something. Probably even less than that to open now. They're only just starting, not even to get back into normal life, I'd say, but just to get something more than all being locked behind the door. And they were all officially locked at home, not to leave, and that was an official law. Whereas here, like we said, it's very much just advice at the moment. And I agree with you. I think that we need to be massively careful because, you know, I was thinking this the other day, and I was thinking when this is all over, or when it's, you know, it sort of calmed down a little bit, and when the restrictions are lifted or the advice is different. I was thinking when the pubs reopen and when the restaurants reopen, is it going to be a case of everybody surging to be in the pub because they haven't been there for a while, or are people going to think, well, if we all surge to go in the pub, then surely there's still a risk? Because there's no time frame for this. You can't say on a Friday that everybody's still locked in their house because it's dangerous, and then on a Saturday morning lift it and say you're all right to go out now, because what's changing in those 12 hours? So you can't say on a Friday and then on a Monday everything be okay, because the likelihood is there'll still be somebody that could be carrying it, there'll still be somebody that'll have suffered from it. So I think we have to be really, really careful, because I know, listen, we all want the footy back, and we all want to go back to pub, and we all want to be going and playing in the park and stuff like that, but we need to be careful as to when everything does get relaxed and things do get lifted, we don't just think, right, I need to be there right now because I haven't been there in a while, because I think we're just causing ourselves even more risk doing that, because this isn't something that's just going to turn around one day and go, I'm getting off, I'll see you later. It's not like the wartime, say, when, you know, whichever country surrendered and said, right, we're stopping the war, that's it, and everyone could get back to normal life because there was no threat. There's still going to be a threat with this, even when things get lifted, and that's why Italy are doing it bit by bit, and they're not just saying everyone back out on the street, because they know that if they just said to everyone the restrictions are lifted now, everyone would be back in work, back doing what they were doing, and it just comes back. All the lockdown for the previous 3 weeks is pointless, because you're just causing more issues for yourself. So yeah, it's a little bit different than what it is in a lot of other countries, but it's tough. It's tough for everybody, isn't it? Hazard says, hi Cam, hope you're well. I'm not too bad. Sombrero says, the dynamic duo is back, love it. There you go. CJ says, hi lads, hi mate. And Ander says, ask Mike when he's going to make you an amazing music intro like his. There you go. What I want to know, actually, this is on the same sort of lines as this. When are we going to hear you rapping? When are we going to hear a rap song or some form of rapping? Because you keep telling me that you're good at rapping, and I want to hear it. So when are we going to hear a rap of some sort? Maybe get John in on the vocals, on the on the melody.
Wow. What a fucking stitch up that is, Cam. So, firstly, I'll make you an intro whenever you want one. Secondly, I get 5,000 subscribers. Okay. I will release a song.
By a time frame or just?
No, you get, once I hit 5,000 subscribers, I will release a song.
There you go. You heard it here first. Get Mike to 5k, and we're seeing the next coming of Eminem.
Get me to 5k and Cam to 2k by the start of next season. So that could be fucking any time.
Yeah. There you go. You've got a while there. Get it done, and we'll Mike on the mic. Mike on the mic. There you go. Mike on the mic.
But yeah, I can rap.
Yeah. I believe it. I'm just waiting to see it. If you're enjoying the stream so far, by the way, please hit that like button. It only takes a second. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. I've left Mike's link to his channel, the link to his channel in the description. So go over there after the stream. Go and check Mike out. I'm sure you all know him and you're all subscribed anyway. But if you haven't, hit the subscribe button on Mike's channel as well. Get the stream shared as well. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Let's get as many questions in as possible. Sombrero numero uno says, thoughts on the attacking midfielder / right midfielder, Jonathan Okone?
What's your thoughts, Cam?
You don't know who he is, do you?
Not a clue.
No, I think he's a decent player. He does fit what we need. But I think, especially on the right-hand side, I think it's as much about shifting the players that we've got over there as it is bringing somebody else in. Theo Walcott's on a lot of money and come under quite a big transfer fee. So if we're all under the agreement, and by us all, I mean us as a fan base, Carlo Ancelotti and Marcel Brands, that Theo Walcott isn't good enough to go, to be playing consistent Premier League matches, and we don't need him as a squad player, then I think we need to focus on shifting him. I like Okone. I would I would be interested in bringing him in. I'd probably like someone with a bit more Premier League experience though, because there's always that risk, and it's a position that I think we definitely need to strengthen in. But I don't mind him. Hernandez says, hope both you...
One second. Who is he?
He's a right midfielder. I'm sure he plays for Lille. I'm sure he plays in the French league. Let me just double check so I don't embarrass myself.
I've never heard.
Yeah, I'm sure he plays in the...
Even find him on Google.
He plays for Lille, yeah. Lille in the French league. 21 he is, so he's still quite young. He's there number 10. He can play in the attacking role. He can play off the right-hand side as well. He's got a lot of talent. He's a player that I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in the summer, though. And, you know, obviously we've got Carlo Ancelotti, and he's a massive pull for a lot of players. But... you know, we'll have to see, won't we? He's got no alliances to Everton, and I always worry with these type of players is that when they've got no alliance to Everton and they've got teams like Man United. I read an article today, or seen an article, I didn't bother reading it, of Manchester United that interested in James Rodriguez. Just to touch on that, I think that would be an awful move for James Rodriguez, because what Manchester United are going to do this summer, and what players linked with Manchester United need to realise, is that Paul Pogba will not be a Manchester United player come the end of this transfer window, whenever it may be. Again, let's just say, for example, it happens how it would happen usually, and it's whatever, May to August or September, whatever. Paul Pogba will not be a Manchester United player come the end of that transfer window, and any player that comes in, that plays in that midfield type of role, even if they don't play in the exact Paul Pogba role, if you're a midfielder, attacking midfielder that goes into Manchester United, already you're starting on the wrong foot. You're starting on a back foot, because the fans are going to think, we've just sold a World Cup winner, a player who we absolutely adored, and we're bringing... I seen a tweet yesterday from a Man United fan: why would you sell a World Cup winner to bring in a lad that had a few decent games in a World Cup once? He's already would be starting on a negative. He'd already be having to prove himself, and I don't think he needs that. And that's for every player linked with Man United this summer. If you're a midfielder linked with Manchester United, I think you're coming in a bad time, especially if they sell Pogba.
What I'd also say as well, just on that front, and take Pogba out the equation. I think, me personally, and it's been the same for a while now, Man United are stale.
Yeah.
They're stale. Doesn't matter who Man United sign, they're stale. They've got a manager who's won nothing. They've got a board that quite honestly don't know what they're doing. They've got a chief exec who hasn't got a club.
Yeah.
There's nothing attractive about joining Manchester United anymore. No. So for an Everton team who's having a new stadium, has one of the best managers in the world without any shadow of a doubt as your manager, with a recruitment team that is trying to sign young, hungry players with the sprinkling of maturity and experience. James Rodriguez, as a person, as a player, and whenever we were all at school and we used to be on PE, when we played football, we always wanted to be that kid that was picked first. Yeah. Always. Yeah. I was like that. So I made it my mission to be that kid who was picked first. James Rodriguez is that player for Everton. Yeah. He's that opportunity. He's that Robinho moment where everyone says, right, Everton went and got a world-class manager, Carlo Ancelotti, great news. Now let's look what they do on the pitch. And they go and sign James Rodriguez, or, just throw in some huge names, an Aaron Ramsey, a Koulibaly. All of a sudden, people are going, this Everton team mean business. Yeah. And there will be the first time since we've had money that we've done that, because signing Sigurdsson didn't do it. Nope. Signing Rooney kind of did it, but he's 32 years old.
He did it marketing-wise, but not on the pitch-wise.
We are doing a 28-year-old, phenomenal, talented player that has a goal in every 3 games, irrespective of his injury record.
And loads of assists as well.
And shitloads of assists. And Everton are being linked with him. Now, I want everyone to take a step back and go, do you know what? This Everton team, we compare to anyone outside, unfortunately, Man City or Liverpool right now. Yeah. But as of right now, Everton are more attractive than anyone above that. In my honest, blue-tinted opinion.
And you're spot on. And if James did come in, like you said, he would be the first name on the team sheet. Ultimately, in terms of his playing career, but he would also be the name that fans are getting on the back of the shirts. The kids all want on the back of their shirts. The kids will be watching the highlights from the 2014 World Cup, and he ultimately will have that warm feeling as soon as he comes into this football club. You've heard Carlo Ancelotti talk about how he felt at home straight away. You even heard Samuel Eto'o in an interview a couple of days ago said that as soon as he come into Everton, he felt at home. Now, whatever you think about that, you make your own decision, but he said it in an interview, come out of his own mouth. And James... Sorry, go on. It's cut out. Andre Gomez, yeah, spot on. And James would have that. I said it in my video on Monday. He would also have a teammate there from Colombia in Yerry Mina. So he's instantly got somebody who he knows, who he can bounce off. Yerry Mina can then introduce him to his little group in the team, and they can get along. He's got a manager that he's worked under.
There'll be also the other South American contingent. Yeah. If you look at the Everton side, that whole attacking spine with Yerry Mina behind. So all of a sudden, you've got Yerry Mina at the back. You've got Rodriguez in the middle with... I don't know what language they speak, but I'm pretty sure in some parts of South America they speak Portuguese. I'm sure they do for some reason.
Yeah, I think in Brazil they do. I think.
Yeah. So Gomez fits in perfect with that. And then you've got Bernard and Richarlison. So all of a sudden, I'm walking around Goodison doing Latina dances, man.
Exactly. So why would he not want to join that? To go to a Man United side that I think he'd have a very, very similar career path to Alexis Sanchez. He'd go there, there'd be big hope, and then it just wouldn't happen, and he'd be back out on loan to somebody in Italy in a season or so. Hernandez says, hope you both are okay and your families are well. I'm not too bad. Mike, he also says, hi Mike, hope you're all good.
Yeah, mate, I'm good. And cheers, yeah, family's all right. Driving me mad, but they're all right.
That's what they're for, aren't they? Gord says, do you think Europeans are thinking that the MLS is becoming better, or still think of it as a retirement league? I'll start with this one and then I'll pass it on to you. One thing that I think we're seeing more of from the MLS is players developing, players coming from the MLS to European sides, to to Germany, to France, to England, more so than we were seeing players from those countries going over to the MLS. So I do think it's slowly switching. I'm not going to lie, I don't watch an awful lot of MLS, so I don't really know whether the quality of football's changed since the likes of Gerrard and Ashley Cole and Beckham went over there. But I do know there's a certain contingency of good, especially American-bred players. Dortmund have got one. I can't remember his name. He's an 18-year-old lad. Let me know, Gorto or Hernandez in the comments. It's gonna Reina, I think his name is Reina. He's an attacking midfielder. He's absolutely fantastic. I'm sure he's American. Obviously, Paulson, who was at Dortmund, he's an American-born player. So I do think it's slightly changing, and I think there's more talent being produced out of the American leagues and out of America than there used to be. You'll always get players going over there because they can offer so much money, and you can go and live in LA. Why, if you were a footballer, you'd spend 15 years playing in England or 15 years playing in France, and somebody says you can come over here, 600 grand a week, and you can spend the last 2 years of your career living in Hollywood, having the Hollywood celebrity A-list life, and just playing footy on the side in a league that, notoriously you're probably suited in. Okay, it might be a little bit more competitive now, but you still may be suited in. That's why players will always go over there, because there's a lot of money to offer and there's the location to offer as well. And if a footballer goes over to America, this is another point I wanted to say before I pass it on, sorry, rambling a bit. If a footballer goes over to America, especially a big European footballer, they instantly become a celebrity name, they instantly become a Hollywood name. Now, don't get me wrong, Wayne Rooney was a celebrity before he went to DC United. Wayne Rooney was a massive all around the world, but as soon as he went over to America, Wayne Rooney made himself massive in America. Chicharito Hernandez, big footballer, played for Man United in his prime, fantastic. Played for West Ham toward the end of his career in England, and he was famous, he was well known, but if you asked an American on the street who Chicharito Hernandez was and they weren't really interested in football or the Premier League, they probably wouldn't know him. He's gone over to LA and he's on all the talk shows, he's on Jimmy Kimmel, he's on Fallon, the other one, he's on all of these talk shows, he's getting that exposure, so instantly, not only do you go over there, you earn shitloads of money and you live in a boss place, but you also get that celebrity status, you get them talk show appearances, you get that attention on you.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on it massively, but the biggest symmetry, and it's always been a bit of a symmetry, is actually the MLS and Germany. Because if you know anything about the German league, you know a lot of players that are the top MLS players actually go over to Germany.
Yeah.
And that's because I think it's a slower way of football. It's an easier way of adapting to English football. So if you go through some of the names, Christian Pulisic, Chelsea,
fantastic player by the way.
But he played at Dortmund.
Yeah.
Then you've got Tyler Adams, who's a very good, plays for Leipzig. Then you've got McKennie, who is a very highly thought of defensive midfielder, plays for Schalke. Then you've got a goalkeeper who is at Manchester City, but he plays for Fortuna Dusseldorf. Then you've got Joe Bucks, Wolfsburg, Josh Sargent, Werder Bremen, Timothy Weah, and the list goes on. Reina is at Borussia Dortmund. Germany cracked this. They realised that some of the top American talent can be brought over to Europe at cut price fees because people want to cut their teeth. And this is why Germany were the first team or group of teams to take players like Landon Donovan, for example, Clint Dempsey, because they took the very best. The MLS, in my opinion, is a massive opportunity for English teams. And they do not utilise it enough. Because you take the very best talent out of America, and I'm telling you now, you'll make a lot of profit.
Yeah, you will.
That's what football's about these days.
And that's what the German league is, isn't it? Ultimately, without disrespecting it, and there's a lot of good football that goes on in the German league, but ultimately you look at teams like Dortmund, and I don't think Dortmund fans would mind us saying this because I think that's their business model and it works for them. They buy players to ultimately sell on. They bought Erling Haaland, for example. They bought him for relatively cheap, and he's got a relatively cheap buyout clause in there. I believe after his first season he can go for about 65 million. Now for a player that scored about 17 hat-tricks this season or something mad, that's relatively cheap, but that makes them a profit of like 50-40 million pound, and then they use that profit. That comes in with financial fair play, and that's how Dortmund are run, for example. We've seen it for years. They've done it with Goetze, they've done it with Hummels. Ultimately both players ended up back at Dortmund, even though they sold them on for massive prices. We've seen it with Lewandowski. They sold him on for a massive price, and we've seen it a lot. They'll do it with Sancho. They bought Sancho for next to nothing from a Manchester City academy that believed he wasn't good enough to play in the Premier League, and they're going to sell him on for hundreds of millions of pounds, or let's say the transfer fees might be adjusted because of what's going on at the moment in the world, but let's say they weren't. They would sell Sancho on for hundreds of millions of pounds to a Premier League side, and he was deemed not once good enough to play in this league, and they're going to make 60, 70, 80 million pounds profit putting him back into the league that he was deemed not good enough to play in once. And that's a lot of the German league, a lot of their ethos, and they get their talent and they get their players from leagues like the Bundesliga, from their own, youth development and stuff like that, and they do sell them on for massive profits. And I feel like the English league is the league where we're probably the most lazy in terms of that, because we don't want to go over and poach the talent when they're at a young age and they've got a lot of potential and they could come in and they could work them up and then sell them on. We just want to buy them as are, and that's why Manchester City got rid of Sancho and almost went, go over there, become a belter player, and then they can sell you for 100 million. And Manchester City will probably be in. I know Manchester United are the rumoured round to be the massive team that won him, or the team that won him. But Manchester City will be in their argument as well. Manchester City will be sniffing around them. And like you said, the German league is a big league for doing that. They bring in players from all around the world, especially America, and they make them massive talents and they sell them on for massive profit. They've done it with Christian Pulisic, or was it Pulisic? I think I've just absolutely Pulisic. Yeah, they'll do it with Reina. I watched that Reina in the Champions League a few months ago before the lockdown, and he's an absolutely fantastic footballer, and I can guarantee he'll be playing for one of the top 5 teams in Europe within the next 18 months.
Well, we had this with, and I'll just be quick on this because I'm rambling a bit, but we had this with Anthony Robinson.
Yeah.
I really rated Anthony Robinson. Really rated him. He was quick. He was lightning. He had every attribute I thought of a top young player. American lad. Almost gets his move to Milan.
Yeah. Literally only fell through in dying hours of the transfer window.
Exactly. So, if you look at some of the players that have made it in Germany, in Italy, in England, they're top players. They're not shit players. They're good players. So I do think Everton could learn from some of that, personally.
I think the English league could learn from some of it. But if we can get onto it first, and if brands can look at that market and think, you know what, let's adopt it. I would. There'd be questions, but I'd love if Everton adopted that style of Dortmund's transfer thing of let's bring in young players for cheap prices and build them up, and that way if they become boss superstars, then we either keep them or we sell them on for massive. If they don't become boss superstars, then we haven't paid that much for them. Ultimately, if Jadon Sancho would have gone to Dortmund and wouldn't have made it, they wouldn't have lost much because they didn't pay an awful. They probably did pay an awful lot for how young he was, but in the grand scheme of things, they didn't pay an awful lot. I can't believe they signed Haaland for the price they signed him. As soon as I seen that transfer go through, all summer he was linked with Juventus, Man United, Man City, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and he'd come out in his interviews with, you know, for his previous team in Austria it was, and he'd say, oh, I don't know who I'm going to, maybe it's Juve, maybe it's Barca. One day you wake up and it's like, he signed for Dortmund, and firstly I was like, how have they managed to pull that off? Secondly, they paid something like 25 million for him or something like that, for a kid that, is still a kid with a lot of potential, but I'm not being funny. If Haaland was in the Premier League, he'd get into any Premier League team by a country mile because he is a natural goal scorer. He scores goals. You seen that in the game against PSG in the Champions League. He scored one sort of tap-in. I remember saying stupidly and dead arrogantly, Jess was watching the game in ours with my dad, and he scored, I don't know if you remember the game, it was in the Champions League just before everything went to pot, and he scored like a tap-in off a corner. I think it come off the post and he knocked it in, and I said that's what he does. He gets on the end he scores easy opportunities like that. He's a poacher, he's a natural goal scorer. About 5 minutes later he hit one from about 35 yards and it just rocketed in the top corner, and I just sat there in the seat and I just looked at the both of them and they were just staring at me, and I just thought, I've embarrassed myself by even sort of tempting the fact that he may only score easy goals, because it's almost like he's heard me and he's gone, right, I'm going to twat one from 30 yards now, and he did it and it just fired right into the top corner, and I just thought, you are some talent, you lad. But yeah, I think it's something that Everton can definitely learn from, and if we can get there ahead of other Premier League teams, I think we'll have a massive advantage. Wayne says, hey everybody. Hazard says, also, alright to the listeners, hope you're all okay and family's okay, of course. Badger says it's raining in Spain. There you go, we've took your weather and you've took ours. Hernandez says, my favourite easy food I got when I went to England was Greggs. They were really surprising. Can't beat a Greggs pasty, can you, mate? Can't beat a Greggs pasty.
You can't. Steak bake all day.
Steak bake. I had an Greggs now do like pasties in boxes that you can buy from like Iceland and that. Yeah, I had the chicken bake one yesterday. It was unbelievable, to be fair. Bit of brown sauce. Can't beat it, mate. Wayne says, double XL or XL bacon double cheeseburger from Burger King.
That's the one. That is the one.
Is Burger King shut, ain't it? Pretty sure Burger King shut. They're all shut, aren't they? Oh, I'm fuming. Honestly, the day that McDonald's reopens, mate, I don't care how big a queue is. I'll stand in it. If I've stood in the Asda queue for 45 minutes to get a tin of beans and a bit of pasta, I'll stand in that Mackey's queue for about 3 days to get a double chicken legend meal, mate, I swear to God. Hazard says, my first home game, 29th of September 1990, Southampton, we won 3-0. Jess says, I love spicy food, but plain Nando's for me. I've never really had a spicy Nando's, but I'm too scared. I can't do spicy food, I literally can't do it.
Oh, I can't.
And I refuse to pay the money in Nando's to then not eat it. So I've got to go with something I know I'm going to devour. William says, hey Jess. Hazard says, can't beat spicy food, extra jalapenos. Jalapenos, trick with jalapenos is it's all in the seeds. If you get an jalapeno without the seed, you're laughing. It's all in the seeds. God says, I regret not getting a Nando's when I was over in England. They don't have it in America, do they? I still find that mad that they have it. America, Nando's make so much money if they went over to America, you know.
Are they not in America? I didn't.
Not in America, mate. They're not just in England. I'm sure they're in like Europe, but I don't know if you went to Benidorm and seen a Nando's. I'm not too sure it would be a Nando's. It would more be a fake Nando's, but they don't have it in America. No, they don't.
Fernando's,
yeah, exactly, Fernando's. Burger King's such a lie. No, it's not. I love Burger King. Him says, don't rip off Burger King, Jess. Jess says, I love Burger King.
Get her out. It's Jess. Who's this Jess? Get her out.
I think she's trying to say I wouldn't pick Burger King, but if I could have anything, not in this circumstance, it would be McDonald's. But if I'd had a McDonald's and I could have anything, it will be a Burger King, because I like Burger King, I do. It's just a bit pricey, innit? Even says, would you both want James Rodriguez? I think we answered that before. Yes, 100%.
But if it was over Jack Grealish, no.
Okay, so Jack Grealish over James, but James ultimately because
Longer term,
Yeah.
Jack Grealish
younger,
is
isn't he?
the better option.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
Jack Grealish has got a lot of leadership qualities as well.
Exactly. Whereas I don't necessarily think James has got the leadership qualities, but there's no doubt he's got the proven talent. So for me, Grealish, but he's going to cost more.
Yeah, he is definitely. And there's going to be more teams in for him as well. If you're enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Share it all over social media as well. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Subscribe to Mike's as well. The link to that is in the description. Wayne says, still want another striker. We can play Richarlison out wide, then gives us more goals in the team. This is another one I wanted to ask you. Didn't actually write it down, so thanks for reminding me. Where do you stand on the sort of striker situation? Obviously, we know our two strikers have they have been our standout players this season, other than Mason Holgate. Where do you stand? Would you still want to bring in a striker in the summer? Would it be not first name on your list, but you'd bring them in if you were offered them? Where do you stand on that? And where do the two strikers go if we do bring a striker in?
So first and foremost, if I was, it's difficult for me to say. It's difficult for me to say because it really depends on what we lose. If Moise Kean, for example, went out on loan, and if Cenk Tosun left, then I think we need another striker. Yeah. I think there's no getting around it. Yeah. We've been linked heavily with Andrea Belotti, and he's a player that I'd take. He would definitely play in the middle though. Yeah. So then do you split Dominic Calvert-Lewin, one on the right and Richarlison on the left, and go 4-3-3? It's very difficult. Yeah. For me, right now, no, I don't sign another striker. I just don't. I give Dominic Calvert-Lewin the benefit of the doubt. I stick Richarlison with him, and I say to them both, look, you've gone and got 12, 13, 15 goals this season. Go and get me 20 next season. You give them that carrot. Bringing in another striker is only going to affect the confidence of Moise Kean, who apparently is one of the best young players in the world. Yeah. So why do that? Yeah. So for me, I don't sign any strikers. I'll go with what we got, but I expect more goals from midfield.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, 100%. Echo it, 100%. I think it would be unfair almost to bring in another striker, and unfair even to push Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison out of their position now. Even if you put Richarlison on the wing, I think it'd be unfair. But yeah, I 100%. There's bigger issues in the team to sort out.
Will an unproven Premier League striker in Belotti score more goals in the position that Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison are in right now? Who knows? Why take the gamble?
Exactly. Spot on. Echo that. Sarah says, if you could go for dinner with any Everton player over the last 100 years, who would it be and why? Yes, McDonald's counts as dinner in this instance. So if you could go for a Mackey's or a KFC with any Everton player in the past 100 years, who would it be and why?
I think we're probably, for me, it's Dixie Dean. Yeah. And the reason it's Dixie is not necessarily because of the 60 goals that he scored or anything like, all of the successes he had. It's actually right at the end of his Everton career with us. The board fell out with Dixie. Yeah. And also before then, a season before he scored his 60 goals, he had a massive car accident in a bike. He was a motorcyclist. I understand that he literally went through a car, and he got up. Yeah. He had that mentality to get up, get on it, go and play in a blue shirt again. Now that is a mentality that I don't necessarily question players don't have. I'm not saying they don't, but that man was as good as disabled. Yeah. And he had the mental capacity to get up and get through it. And I just want to know how. Yeah. How did he do that? Yeah. Because I'm telling you now, people in our generation, we could learn it from people like that. Well, we can learn a lot from it.
Yeah, we could. That's a boss answer.
That's me, that. What about you?
That's a boss answer. Dixie had been on the list. I've got two. I'd go with either Howard Kendall or Neville Southall. Howard Kendall, because I think that man absolutely bled Everton. He bled Everton completely. He bled blue. He loved the football club as much as any Everton fan loved the football club. He had the dream of not only playing for Everton, but also managing Everton. I was watching Toffee TV's interview with Adrian Heath, and Adrian Heath was saying how Howard Kendall was the manager of somebody else. I can't remember if it's West Brom or Norwich or something like that. And he phoned Adrian Heath up and said, how do you feel about coming to Everton? This was before Howard Kendall was even the manager of Everton. He just heard a rumour that he might get the job, and he already tried to sign Adrian Heath. He wasn't asked about his current club, he was just asked about Everton. So I'd love to sit down with Howard and not only talk about all his success as a player and as a manager, but also him just knowing that I'm sitting in front of a fella that you can't be more Everton than Howard Kendall. He is Everton. The other one is Neville Southall. Now, Neville Southall would be because I think he's just probably one of the most honest people you could sit down with and talk to. And I think you could ask Nev anything and he would give you the complete honest answer. And I'd love to sit down and talk to him about the state of the football club, how he feels about Ancelotti, one-on-one, where he's not got an audience, he's not on Twitter, he doesn't feel like he has to. And he's always honest, he's completely honest anyway. But obviously if he's sat in front of an audience, he's probably going to limit what he says or how he says it a little bit. I'd love to sit down with him one-on-one and just say, listen, how do you feel about Everton's marketing? How do you feel about the kit suppliers? How can we get out there and do better? And I'd honestly love to hear his honest opinion. Boss question, that's Sarah. And it would definitely be in Mackey's as well. It would definitely be in Mackey's. None of these fancy restaurants sitting down, it'd be Chicken Legend there, Big Mac there. Why do you love Everton so much? That's what it'd be. Wayne and Hazard says, rest in peace 96 and justice for the 96. Of course, today marks 31 years since the Hillsborough disaster, since 96 innocent men, women and children went to a football match like we all do multiple times a year, like we're all wanting to do at the moment, and unfortunately didn't return home. So yeah, obviously done the minute silence at 3:05. All of our support, condolences, and wishes go to the families affected, as they do every year. And yeah, justice will be served finally. Wayne says, I would think that we will go back to normal in stages. The isolation isn't so we don't get corona. It's so we don't all get it at the same time. It's about staggering so the NHS isn't overwhelmed. Well, it is. I think I just have this overriding feeling that nobody really knows what's going on completely, and it's all a little bit of a guessing game at the minute, and that's why I'm staying at home, because you watch the news and you listen to, the radio and you put BBC News on, but at the end of the day, I'm telling myself every single day, no matter what I hear on BBC News, they have to come out and say something every day. They can't come out and say, we haven't got a fucking clue, we don't know what's going on, we don't know how we're going to manage it. And now I do trust that there's people that know what's going on and know how to manage it and understand it, but I also understand that it's very, very easy for the news to come out and say about how much they understand it and where we are with it. So I'm just that's why I'm staying at home, because I think at the moment there's a lot of uncertainty around it, especially in our country, like somebody said before, over in their country, it's, they're on day 16 of isolation, whatever, they've got 15 left. They were given, you're going into isolation now, you will come out of it at this time unless further notice. We haven't been given that. It's sort of stay at home, and it's going to get reviewed in 3 weeks, and then it'll be another 3 weeks, and then the June date's coming, and it's May date, so we don't know. And I feel like it would be a lot easier, especially for people's mental health, if they said, you're in it now, and we're looking to be out of it by May the 30th or May the 29th or something. Then people had a date to go, well, you know what, let's get to this date, and hopefully everything will be okay. And I think that would also encourage a lot more people to stay at home, whereas I think now a lot of people are just thinking, well, we don't know how long we're going to be at home for, so I'm not staying at home, basically, because I could be stuck in for months and months and months. So until I'm forced to by law, I'm going to get out as much as possible. Whereas I think if people thought, you know what, I could go out and play footy on the Astro today, but in order to save a life, and I'm going to be able to in 16 days, maybe I'll just stay in. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, agreed. I think at the end of the day, irrespective of what happens, however that plays out, the very last thing that is going to happen in this country is mass gatherings.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see football stadiums full. You're not going to see airports full of people. You're not going to see anything where there's going to be a huge group of people for a long, long time. I don't know how many days to put on that, but it would be good for them to come out and say, right, you're definitely in lockdown for X amount of days. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, it's a tough one, mate. It's a tough one.
It is. It is. Just as I agree with Wemmy, people need to build up an immunity to it. Hazard says, subscribe to Mike on the Mighty Blues. Thank you very much. Eugene says, what do you think, where do you think Everton will finish this season, assuming the season was to carry on? I think we'll finish 7th, and do you think we'll get in Europe? What do you reckon?
So I live in hope. So I hope Everton finish 12th. I hope Everton finish 12th on 37 points, and the league finishes exactly.
Now?
It just dies. No, it just dies. It just dies. The league just gets void. Doesn't Everton don't go into Europe. Liverpool don't win the league. But no, realistically, look, I think there is. I mean, if I look at the league, I'm looking at it now. There's 6 points between Everton and Sheffield United in 7th. Yeah. If Everton are aiming to get into Sheffield United, they may as well aim for 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And I just think we might have lost too many points at the start of the season. So personally, I think if we finish 7th, I'm happy. But equally, if we don't get into Europe this season, I'm not too bothered about it, because next season's much more positive, irrespective of whether we're in Europe or not, to be honest.
I agree. Spot on. I agree. Spot on. I think this season, we if it was to continue, I think we sort of just need to accept what we get, where we get, and go again next season, especially with a new manager, the calibre of manager that we've got, the players that we're being linked with. I think at this point, it'd be great to finish 7th, it'd be great to finish 5th, but if we finish 12th, if we finish 13th, if we finish 11th, it's not the end of the world, especially considering we know we've got something to look forward to in the future. We'll fly through the last few just because I'm cautious that Mike's got other things to do. Wayne says, did you guys watch the Mike Tyson shows on YouTube? Enjoyed his interview with Eminem. He's always stoned class. That's his podcast that they're on about. It actually links into a question I had, Dan, and that was favourite rapper. Who's your favourite rapper, mate, of all time and alive? I haven't watched the one with Eminem, just on that, but I definitely do want to watch it because I love Eminem. He's my favourite.
Yeah, probably Eminem. He's probably the best well-known with Gravitas, for example. Yeah. I also quite like Skepta, but in terms of all time, it's got to be Eminem.
Skepta's, in terms of UK, Skepta's up there with all time as well. But Eminem is unbelievable, and his lyricism is fantastic. Joyner Lucas as well. There's one out there. If you've not heard any of Joyner Lucas' stuff, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wayne says, Sean Atwood throwing out some good content on here. There's prison stories worth a watch if you're bored and got time on your hands. Yeah, definitely. I love all stuff like that. Conspiracies, stories, things about serial killers. It helps pass the time and it keeps the brain occupied as well. If you're watching Family Guy, your brain can always switch off. But if you're watching stuff like that, you're watching it. Go on.
An interesting fact about Sean Atwood.
Go on.
So he subscribes to my channel.
Does he?
Yeah, so me and Sean, we spoke quite a lot before. He did a prison series on Netflix.
Okay.
And I sent him a message and just said, look, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really good. I seen you've been on True Geordie podcast, and he messaged me back and he went, I have, I get on with Brian quite well. And he subscribed to my channel and left me a few comments. He still does, very occasionally you will see him in my comments.
There you go, interesting fact there, belter. Stu says, alright, Calvin Mike, but good to see you back again. Certainly is. We'll be doing this a lot more often, both on mine and Mike's channel. Look out for me at some point, probably next week on Mike's channel. Everton Luke says, what do you think will end up happening with the league? Even though we'd like it to be null and void, can you see it happening?
I can't see him voiding it. I think it'll be played behind closed doors, and I think next season will start in September rather than August.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're gonna do absolutely anything to make sure they don't have to void it. And we've already heard the rumours about playing a World Cup style basis and playing in China and all of this. I just think it all screams that they're going to do absolutely anything they can to finish this league. And I think that it surprised me they haven't even said about playing five-a-side and just picking 5 players in a team and doing it that way. It really does surprise me, but I can't see it being voided. Hazard says, yes, need John Maguire on here now. Interesting you should mention John. There you go. Good little segment, that innit? Segue. John will be on the channel on Friday. I'm going to be doing a live stream with John, hopefully, as long as everything goes right. That'll be at 5:15 Friday night, so check that out. We'll be talking Everton, we'll be talking all sorts. So hopefully, if everything goes to plan, John will be on Friday here on the Mighty Blues at 5:15. Let's fly through a couple more then before we finish. We've got loads. If I don't get the question answered, I apologise. We've got loads and loads of questions here.
This one,
Go on.
Eugene McGeever. What is your favourite ever Everton shirt?
I've just seen that then. I like the yellow kit Everton played in. Favourite ever Everton shirt. You know what? I'm going to go a little... Go on, you go first, because I've got a bit of a controversial one here, and I think people are going to go, what? That's mad, but it's just the memories it brought up, but go on.
I'm going for the white Nike kit that we had. So we had white Nike, blue shorts, white socks.
Yellow.
Oh, that was dirty, that was.
That's unbelievable. There's been some amazing ones. I'm going major controversial. I'm going the home kit in the 13-14 season with the ugly badge with Roberto Martinez. The Nike one with the blue stripes. Just because...
That was a nice...
Yeah, I thought it was a nice kit, and we were absolutely boss almost every time we played in it. And Everton could wear a kit with a phallic shape drawn on it. If we're boss every week, I don't care. I'll be buying it. With James Rodriguez on the back. Go to I'd say MLS is on par with the Championship. I'd have to watch it. Eugene says Everton's worst player of all time. He thinks it's Ashley Williams. Who you reckoning?
Umanias.
Fair point. I'm going to say Alton. Can't even say his name. Alcaraz. Anton Alcaraz. I just don't see how that fella's a footballer. When you think about that question, there's been a lot of footballers that you watch at Everton and you think, how are you a footballer? But I think he tops the plate.
And equally, that's in our lifetime.
That's in our lifetime, yeah.
The ones between 94 and 98, when we almost got relegated, there has to be some really shit players in that. Has to be.
Definitely. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Got a few more questions. Stephen says, what's your favourite away game you've been to? Mine probably was... I don't know. Been to Wembley a few times. Mine was probably Hajduk Split in the Europa League. The game wasn't great, but it was just a mad experience. Or Lille. Lille was a mad experience as well, but the game was shite. Go on.
Wolfsburg away.
I'm so gutted, you know. I went to Lille away with my dad, and then the couple of weeks after, my dad took my brother. So it was like I went to Lille, my brother went to Wolfsburg, and I witnessed the best thing that happened in the Lille game was Tony Ibbott done a couple of step overs. Don't get me wrong, the atmosphere was mental, and the fact that we took so many fans in the square before it was mental. But my brother went to Wolfsburg when we absolutely obliterated one of the best German teams at the time. So I'm jealous, mate. I'm truly jealous.
Amazing. Honestly, it was amazing. Lukaku that night. Oh my god.
And Morales as well.
Oh yeah, that was when Morales was
in his prime for Everton, I'd say.
Yeah. Quality.
Definitely. Let's get some more questions then before we go. Hernandez says Nando's are in the US, but I'm sure they're very different to the Nando's in England. There's probably restaurant chains called Nando's in the US, but I doubt it's the same. Go on then, we'll go for the final one just before we go on to the one on Twitter as well. I've just remembered that. Eugene says, who's your favourite Everton manager of all time? Go on.
Well,
it's going to be Ancelotti. It will be Ancelotti in the long run, but at the moment I think it has to sort of be Moyes because he was there for the longest time and he was the most consistent. I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, but I was worried about saying Moyes, but now you've said it, it's fine. Can I just say this one tweet? I don't know where it is. I don't know. I've literally just scrolled past it, but somebody has just said about our haircuts being choreographed, and I love that tweet.
Have they? But they are.
Tweet, not tweet. Comment. I love it. Whoever the fuck wrote that, top notch.
There you go. Badger says the rich will profit from selling houses left empty by those unable to pay rent. Yeah, probably. Ziad says most likely signing this summer for Everton, and I read it most likely Everton signing this summer, as in Everton style of signing. And I hate to say it, but every time I think about this, Jesse Lingard pops into my head. I just think it's the most Everton signing you could get. I don't want him. Please don't sign Jesse Lingard.
But can I say, just on top of that, I absolutely 100% agree. But what does that say about brands? Because I said it last season, and I'll say it now, and I got criticised for it, and I've been criticised occasionally in the comments on the last video with you. He signed a Iwobi on the last day out of desperation. Brands is not off the hook for me.
Yeah.
The only difference is Carlo Ancelotti is better than Marco Silva and will tell him to jog on.
Yeah.
So my only hope is that he fixes that.
Yeah, I agree, spot on. Steve says, what's your favourite gangster film? Mine, Goodfellas has got to be up there, but I like Scarface, me. I like Goodfellas. It's probably a better film than Scarface, but my favourite's probably Scarface. Go on.
Scarface is up there. I like Casino. I'll go for the obvious one. You know, The Godfather.
Godfather, yeah. What a film.
Just, oh my God.
What a film. Anyway, we'll cut it there then. Got loads of comments there, so thank you so much for all your comments, all your support, all your questions. It really, really does mean a massive amount to me. If you've enjoyed the stream, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Don't forget to check Mike out. His link is in the description. If you're watching this and you've joined late and you're thinking, Belter, I'll watch the replay in a minute, just be a little bit conscious that YouTube are being a little bit slow with processing the live stream replay. So it might be done in 15 minutes, but it took, almost 7 hours or something like that mad on Monday. So if you're thinking, where's the stream, where's it gone, just check back tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and it should be up. Massive thanks to Mike, obviously, for coming on. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate that.
No worries, yeah. And just for anyone who's come over onto my channel and subscribed to me, I just want to massively thank you all, because my subscribers in the last 7 days have gone up by about 130, which to a small channel like mine means, well, loads. So thank you ever so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
There you go, brilliant. Badger says, cheers lads, take care, all of you. Thank you very much. Like I said, we'll be back on Friday with John, the other amigo. What would you call it? Your partner in crime?
Yeah, business partner now. Business partner.
I can't say too much about that.
Can't. Also, just so you know, there is a little clip of John. If you've never seen John before, go on my Twitter and you'll see John.
Yeah. He's a boss character. He is. He's a boss. One of my favourite videos ever is still that clip outside the Man United game where you go, I can't swear. And next minute you're just there, and he's not even in shot, and you're just there, John Moss can fuck off. And it's just like,
get the fuck.
That's quality. That is quality. That's going to do it for today. Wormy says, take care, guys. Everyone stay safe. Thank you very much, Wormy. Have a brilliant day, everybody. Don't forget to join us Friday, 5:15 with John for another live stream. Big thanks to everybody for watching. If you're watching at the replay, massive thanks to you as well. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Check out Mike in the description down below, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.
Peace.